It's Paul Marsh, and I'm delighted to say that I've been joined by the co-writer and director of Screamboat, Steven LaMorte. Stephen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, what can we say about Screamboat? It put such a smile on my face. Just the comedy is brilliant, the gore, the violence. It's like you took the best bits of every single film and smushed it all together.
My goodness, what a high praise. Thank you so much. I'm shocked.
Um,
That's I love it.
let's
Thank you.
let's let's take this back to the start. Where and how did you get the idea for Screamboat?
Well, honestly, the original idea for this movie started, my goodness, maybe 15 years ago. I'm originally from New York City. I live in LA now, but I'm a Staten Island native. So I've taken the Staten Island ferry thousands of times in my life. And I always had this thought, especially on my way to film school, you know, a Murder on the Orient Express, you can just get off the train. But when a commuter ferry leaves and it sets sail, there's really nothing you can do, especially once you drift to that part of the New York City harbor where there is no cell service. At the time, I don't think we had cell phones at the time, but it was a thought that I had is that, well, what would happen if there was a slasher or a killer or a monster on the Staten Island ferry? So after the success we had with the Mean One, another popular children's character, I thought, well, what would be a good next project to pursue? And my wife said, well, why don't you do something that you're already excited about? Why don't you do let's break out that Staten Island Ferry horror movie you've always wanted to make? Did a little bit of research, found Steamboat Willie is going into the public domain, and that the Staten Island Ferry was originally steam powered. I thought this is perfect. We're going to take Steamboat Willie, we're going to make him tiny the way he's supposed to be, have him run around and get into all kinds of murderous mischief and mayhem on the Staten Island ferry with New York City as the backdrop and diehard New Yorkers as his victims. And I'm thrilled with the way it turned out.
You should be. So you co-wrote this with Matthew Garcia Dunn? How
Mhm.
you said you had the idea? How far along was there any script whatsoever? Was it just an idea in your head?
Well, I started with a treatment, sort of. I like to treat my horror films like, almost like musicals or like an action film, where I sort of start with the set pieces. I know it'd be cool to do this, it'd be cool to do that. Of course, looking at the cartoons and sort of how can we reference the original Steamboat Willie elements, and then from there, it sort of grew into an outline of which characters we want to root for. In my opinion, a good horror film is where you have people you want to see live, people you want to see die, and then you're excited to find out which is which. And oftentimes, if we can, sort of flip the script on you and and hope that we catch you off guard. So, sort of weaving all of those things together, making sure we're honoring the character, and then Matt Dunn came in to sort of help me flesh everything out, help me with the jokes, help me to incorporate some more Disney references, and together we sort of went back and forth. The original script is like 110, 115 pages long. You look at it and you say, how the hell are we going to shoot all this? But I really believe in improv and experimentation. So the script started with maybe five more jokes per page than any script I've ever read. Jokes or references or, well, and then in the background, you can see this or, whatever it is. And then once we get to set, we start whittling those things down, what makes sense, what doesn't. And then once we get to the edit, we prune it to get it down to be a nice, tight, snappy comedy. Unfortunately, some of my Disney references didn't make it into the final cut, but I imagine if we get to revisit this universe, they'll come
Oh,
back again.
well, talking of those references, I love some of the nods to other movies. Some are subtle, some you hit you with a sledgehammer. Um,
Mhm.
you know, the princess is a modern day princess, just brilliant.
Thank you. It seemed like you couldn't possibly enter this world without doing something with the princesses. And we agonized over which characters are in and which characters are out. And it was really important that the Disney references didn't take away from the
No,
source material and our main focus, which is Steamboat Willie. So
yeah.
they really all just come to sort of support him. He doesn't know he's a cartoon character, and Disney does not exist in this world. So these are all just parallels of things you might have heard of, and made it a lot of fun to
No,
explore.
I always think whenever I'm watching a TV show or a film or anything, I think there's always the ones that you could tell people had fun making. We all know that there's art that's meant to be serious, and you can tell it was probably a very serious working environment. I think that you just had so much fun making this film.
You are spot on. I mean, it was a lot of late nights. It was a lot of fake blood, but it was also a lot of laughs because I mean, the second there's something about a character that you love that you have this like nostalgia and attachment for, and the first time we see David Howard Thornton come out in the full suit. He's got the claws, he's got the hat, he's got the giant ears, and he's like ready to growl. He's like, "Okay, Steve, what's the first thing I'm gonna do?" And I said, "The first thing you're gonna do is give me a hug, you big fur ball. You are so cute. Like you just want to like squeeze this man. Everybody wants pictures with him." I'm like, "Guys, I got to start charging for this. We have to shoot the movie." And it's just, you just know, I mean, you find yourself just staring at him and you realize, like, man, this must be really uncomfortable for you because he's standing there getting fanned because he's so hot. He's so hot. Doesn't impact his performance at all, but we know he's dying under there. And you find yourself just staring and looking at him. And once he's lit and you call action, he springs to life and he dances and he moves around and you realize he's wearing like 40 pounds of fur. It's magic. It really is.
I want to talk about the when you shoot up, so when you're shooting from Willie's perspective and you shoot up. Now, I could be completely off the mark here, but I think there was a lot of inspiration from films like Child's Play and Puppet Master.
hmm Yes, 100%. I mean, I think there is an element where I really like classic slashers, and I think there's some films, I mean, like Puppet Master, like Child's Play, like Leprechaun. I mean, even The Thing, where nowadays, I think there's like I call it Jurassic Park syndrome, right? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I think there are certain like effects and filmmaking techniques, and just because the script says he jumps on his back and starts choking him doesn't necessarily mean we need to see all of that, or we need to
Yes.
see it in a big wide shot or have it be really bright. The monster runs and jumps on someone's face. Well, do we need to see the monster? We can. We have the technology, we can do whatever we want, but what's scarier? What's funnier? And so there's a lot of moments, even in the film, where whether we're using the puppet or whether it's David, where we maybe have additional footage or there's footage of David, or we have certain options that we chose not to show. And I think that's what gives the film sort of a little more personality because it keeps you guessing and we're not just, nope, he's over there, there he is. We're sort of being specific when he shows up, and when he does so in a big way.
Well, let's face it, some of the greatest movies ever shot, like Jaws and Alien, you don't see them for quite a long time, and a lot of it is left to your imagination.
That's right. And we do start our film off that way. I mean, there is something fun inherently about in Scream. I mean, the ghost face is there and he's there. That's it. Like we know it, whereas other movies take a more suspenseful approach to it. But it was important that in this film, you don't have David Howard Thornton play Steamboat Willie
And
and
hide
not let
him.
him run wild.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, right. So once the mouse is out, we really go for it. And by the time we're in the third act, he's covered in blood, running around, swinging a sword, and like, no, he's there. There's no hiding him, and I think it's a blast.
When you shot that iconic shot with Willie steering the boat, were you aware of that moment?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's you have the sketches, you take the meetings, you write it in the script, but it's not the same as when you actually film it. And we did some versions. We use a lot of different techniques, and that's the unfortunate thing with the way I like to work is I like to experiment, right? So we shot that from a lot of different angles, and being able to hold up my reference of the most famous shot in animation history and looking at the monitor and saying, "We did it. We've got it right
Yeah.
there,"
Yeah.
is something I'll never forget. It's so cool because I mean, the magic trick isn't even how we pulled it off. It's that it exists in the first place, like a fully realized furry creature at the wheel. I mean, dancing around like it's something special. We all knew it and we felt it that day for sure.
So you've alluded to this a few times. I haven't mentioned it yet, but I want to talk about Willie. I want to talk about the decision to make Willie a person in a suit, David Howard Thornton in a suit, rather than going with what I would consider was probably an easier option of using CGI.
Yes, it wasn't a decision we took lightly, mainly because we knew it was going to be a real pain in the backside. Um, but you don't want to take a character like Steamboat Willie and change him up too much, right? We wanted to really do the character. And if you've ever seen that famous statue of Mickey standing next to Walt, I think it's called the Partners. Um, you know how big he's supposed to be. And it just seemed like a worthwhile headache to say, let's make this guy small. And what sort of, it's supposed to be a comedy. What sort of chaos can he get up to? And there's a lot of amazing computer generated imagery out there and a lot of spectacular visual effects. Those guys and gals do not get enough credit for what they do. But I really wanted to make like a murder Muppet. There is something about seeing Kermit the Frog. I know how he exists, but I wanted a murder Muppet. I said, let's just do that. And there's just something about a real creature that's really there and furry that blinks and breathes and whistles and moves that I'm not sure motion capture and visual effects can pull off in the way that like a real human that's really breathing. Willie literally has a heart. He's a puppet. He's a pulse. There's a guy's hand in there. I mean, it's I don't know. It just feels more alive to me.
And also, I think how Willie goes from being obviously quite evil and dangerous to quite mischievous and playful quite quickly as well. I don't think you would have got that with computer graphics.
I mean, you certainly can if you make those creative choices, but there is a spontaneity that comes with once we've planned the shoot and, whether we've got the oversized props or the big set or, we know he's going to kill this person in this way. There's obviously a lot of planning that goes into it. But when David's there in the suit, he's not limited by wires or where he can walk as long as he hits his marks and stays in the light. Like he's kind of allowed to have fun with it. I mean, that's all him doing his own whistling and there's definitely I mean, obviously the movie is very unrated, but there's definitely a lot more adult themed jokes that he made that we had to sort of scale back. And there's a lot of really funny things he did when we wanted him to be scary. So there's just something about him being able to improv and exist by him being in a very functional suit that just allowed Steamboat Willie to have life. And, if something fell or dropped, he could just react. You don't get
Yes.
accidents with something that is very manufactured and contrived. And there's a lot of happy accidents on our set for sure.
Well, I thought it worked so, so well. And of course, the added bonus of having David Art the Clown as Steamboat Willie, I think takes it to that next level. I think it's brilliant.
Thank you. I appreciate it. He did such a great job and he brought just so much to the performance. I think if people like Art the Clown, they're going to love seeing him
Oh,
in this because
yeah.
the spirit of Art is definitely in there. David can't help but be Art the Clown, but we're also going to see a different side of him. He's mischievous and he's funny and he's vulnerable. And I think Art the Clown and David Howard Thornton fans are going to really see a different side of him. And there's a lot for them to enjoy in Screamboat.
Now, we don't obviously want to give away any spoilers. We don't want to give away anything at all. Some of the kills are ingenious, some so imaginative, so funny, so brilliant. I just want to say, and I'm going to try and code this the best I can, the scene where the hammer falls on the guy's face is the funniest thing that literally made me belly laugh.
Oh, thank you so much. It's the one you don't see coming that always
Oh,
gets you.
brilliant.
It's
And the reaction, it was just perfect.
thank you. We did that is the gravity was on our side that day. And it really takes a lot of trust from some very talented people to let me just keep doing that gag over and over again until it worked. If anyone that's listening will understand when they've seen it.
Yes, you
And
will. Yes.
Michael D. Philippus, the actor that plays that role, he's so great, and he's got like every acting degree a person could have. I mean, he is like a true thespian. He took the role so seriously, and we're like, okay, Michael, so now it's time for the scene, and we're gonna have to take the thing and drop it. And he was like, he was game. He's like all in, and I'm like, okay, we didn't quite get it, so can we do it again? I need. And he's like, okay, let's do it. And I'm like, it'd be really good if we could get it just closer to your lips. And he's like, let's try. Let's try. And he was game and he was such a good sport. And I think that's
Brilliant.
what makes it so funny.
Brilliant.
It's the one
It,
you don't see coming that always
oh,
shocks you the most.
it was superb. And then to finish off, again, no spoilers, giving nothing away, the cartoon flashback. I thought that really took you out nicely, took you back to, when Steamboat Willie first, and all of that. I thought that worked in the picture so, so well.
Thank you. I mean, the whole movie is a love letter to Disney, but it's a real homage to his origin, right? We knew that if we were going to create a character that was going to be a mouse, not just a 2D cartoon, that we had to explain the difference from the way he started, the way he
Yep.
was originally
Yeah.
conceived, to the way that he is now. We thought, what better way than with animation, a very simple, hard
Yep.
line, classic style of animation that I think is a really nice homage to Steamboat Willie's origin. So I'm glad you dug it.
And then just one final question. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? If you get to play in the world of Steamboat Willie and Screamboat again, is that something that you would look forward to doing?
Absolutely. There are no shortage of tales. There's no shortage of stories left to be told on the Staten Island Ferry, especially when it comes to Steamboat Willie. And do I have a document filled with ideas for what would happen in the second one? Are there more Disney references, bigger kills, perhaps more characters? You'll have to go to the theater and see the film to find out.
100%. Stephen, thank you so much for talking to me. I really do appreciate it. Screamboat is at View Cinemas on the 2nd of April. It's on digital platforms from the 5th of May and DVD and Blu-ray on the 2nd of June. Stephen, best of luck with this film. I thought it was absolutely wonderful, and I hope it all goes well.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Mark, Paul.